HTTP has a brand new method, and this is a very big deal because this is the first new method we've gotten in 16 years. The last time this happened was in 2010 with the patch method. So we've had get, post, put, delete, patch, and that list has just expanded. The new method is called query. In this video, I will show you the gap this method fixes, how it works, and whether you should use it or not. For as long as I've known, which is not so long, HTTP has shipped with the normal methods we know: get to fetch data, post to create and send data, put to replace, delete to remove, patch to partially update. But there's a gap that none of them fills, and it shows up when you're trying to build search. Let's use our bookstore example. Say we need to filter, we need search. We want to filter on genre, on price, on publish date. That filter is structured JSON data, and it can get really big. Now, searching is reading. We are not changing anything on the server. We're just searching. We want to read data. We want to filter data down and read. So the natural method to go for is get. And get works fine for simple cases. General equals fiction, no problem. You can put that in the URL as query parameters. The problem starts when the query gets big. We're querying general, we're querying author, we're querying this, we're querying that. And you want to put everything in the URL because that's what get does. It puts everything in the URL. And the URL has length limits. It can get too long. If it gets too long, your request can fail. You could get a 414. And on top of all of that, URLs get logged everywhere. In server logs, browser history, your URL is there. So if your filter contains anything sensitive, you're already exposed. And overall, URL encoding nested JSON is just painful to read and to debug. Now, you might think that the obvious solution would be, why not put a body on the GET request? People older and smarter than you and me have thought of that. The problem is that a GET body has no defined semantics. So some servers will ignore it, some proxies will drop it, some tools just reject it outright. So it's not really a solid option. So what the developers did, what have they been doing instead? Developers have been using posts method to search. You'd have something like posts book search with a JSON body, and it works perfectly. The only problem is that post has a different meaning. It's meant for a different use case. It's not meant to just fetch data and read. Post method itself tells the server and everything in between that it is changing something. That is the contract of post. I am changing something. But when we use post for search, we are not actually changing anything. So we are kind of lying about our intent, and that lie has costs. For example, caches and CDNs will not catch a post response. They have to assume that it's already changed or mutated something. So they won't. So every identical search reruns on your server because there's no cache. And clients will not automatically retry a failed post request. It makes sense not to retry, because if it was for a payment, you could be retrying a payment twice and charging someone twice. That is idempotency, and post doesn't have it. So this is the gap. Yeah. Get is good. It does its job, but it cannot carry these long queries. Post can carry the query, but this is not its job. It has to lie to carry the query, and that is the gap that the new query method fixes. Query was published on the 15th of June 2026, and the authors are engineered from Cloudflare, which is like my 10 out of 10 company. I really love Cloudflare, plus Greenbytes and Akamai. So query combines the useful part of both sides. It takes good things from get, it takes good things from post, and brings them together. Like get, query is safe. It is idempotent. You get to tell the server and every proxy in between, hey, I'm only reading. And the request can be retried without side effects. So it is safe, it is idempotent, and generic infrastructure can rely on that without knowing whatever it is your API entails. That's what it gets from get. Now, what does it get from post? Query can carry a request body just like post. So your filters live in the payload where they belong instead of being crammed into a URL. And the good thing is that the endpoint gets to be just in our case, to just be books. Instead of doing book search, the reason why you do the /search is to explain to ourselves that we're using this to search, because we're using post, so you have to be explicit. But with query, the method already says you are querying. So the URL can just go back to naming just the resource, which is the clean standard. And its responses are cacheable. There's also a new response header, accept query, that lets the server advertise which query formats it accepts. A server can accept JSON, it can accept SQL, or whatever makes sense for your API. So you can literally send SQL queries as the body of a query request. One rule to keep in mind though is that the content type is mandatory. So in this standard, servers must reject a query request if the content type header is missing or does not match the body. So there's no guessing here, right? And this is also like a straight note from the specification itself. If your query is short and simple, you don't have to use this new query method. You can still just keep using get. Query is for when the URL genuinely cannot handle the query. It's not a blanket get replacement. As of today, can you use it? No. Query is a proposed standard, which is the stage where the real implementation starts. So there's .NET support, native support, and query as an HTTP method already exists. Open API can describe query endpoint, and you can literally write fetch with method query right now. But most framework, Laravel I know because I use Laravel at work. But even others like Django, Express, they don't have the support for it yet. So if you send query through one of those, it gets bounced as an invalid method. So it's not really like a we all start using it today something. It's something you can use, but it's a soon thing. It's the pieces are landing one by one. What you can do today though is look at your APIs, look at your code base, spot every post endpoint that is not really doing the work of post, that is only reading, post search, post export, post reports, post this. Those are your future query endpoints. So don't change anything yet because everything is not really ready, still cooking. I'm talking as if I'm part of the team cooking it, but yeah, still cooking. And it's just a very big deal. And I think everyone should know that there's a new HTTP method in town. I'm kind of late to the party. I've known since last week and I'm just recording this video. But if you enjoyed this video, I will see you in my next one. Bye.